Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our Medicare What to Know Wednesday, the second Wednesday of the month. I am Megan Rogers with Indiana SHIP, and I am joined by my two co-hostesses, Melanie Garland and Susan Spilly. And we have a wonderful presentation for you this morning. And I am going to turn it over to Melanie to let you know what we're going to talk about today and introduce our special guest.
Good morning, and thank you, Megan. And yes, so you guys may see that there is a fourth face with us this morning, and we're so excited to have you this morning. Welcome to our What to Know Wednesday, and our special guest is Chris Izzie with the Alzheimer's Association. So, Chris, I'll let you kind of explain how you guys are set up, nationwide, and but he is from the chapter of the hopefully I'm gonna get this right. The Greater Kentucky and Southern Indiana chapter. Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm.
Ish? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. And we invited Chris to come on this month because this month is the month that hosts, I think it's a lot of different things, but it's also the longest day with the Alzheimer's Association. So Chris is going to tell us a little bit about what he does and how the Alzheimer's Association can impact your life and how it can be an asset and a resource to you. And so, Chris, I'm going to turn it over. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm really excited to be here. I love talking about the association and what we do. A lot of people are very familiar with some of the pillars of the Alzheimer's Association. Like some people know, we're the largest nonprofit fundraiser for Alzheimer's research in the world. There's multiple chapters, all across the nation. For the Alzheimer's Association that are dedicated to this, that people get involved with either through like our walks to end Alzheimer's or like a lot of probably what I'm going to be talking about today, like when it comes to the longest day the longest day fundraiser, which is a fundraiser like around celebrating the summer solstice. So this year be June 20th. Celebrating the longest day, where people kind of from all over the country kind of get together and they fight against the darkness that Alzheimer's brings by doing some kind of an activity to help raise money for Alzheimer's research. And then there's another pillar that we have for the Alzheimer's Association with advocacy, where people get involved and they can advocate to their state governments. I believe they were actually there was a big summit in Washington D.C. not actually this last month, where people got together to be advocates to see better care for those living with Alzheimer's dementia. And then there's what I do, which is from the care and support side of the Alzheimer's Association. So what I do and the other volunteers that assist at what I do is we get involved in the community and we do things like raising awareness about Alzheimer's and dementia. We talk about our education programs that we do in the community, whether it's in person or virtually, like I'm coming here today to do. And we're in communities doing support groups, and that could be caregiver support groups, or that could be support groups for those living in the early stages of dementia as well as too is getting involved in some of our social activities where people get together that are living in the early stages of Alzheimer's with somebody that they care about and getting together to do fun activities. So there's a lot of different things that the Alzheimer's Association really tries to do when it comes to approaching like providing support to those living with Alzheimer's dementia. A lot of people, they'll go and I hear this story very frequently. Well, they'll go to their doctor, they'll get a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or some form of dementia, and it's a good luck. And it's sort of like at that point, people are sort of trying to navigate that journey. And this is a part where the Alzheimer's Association can come in and kind of give people opportunities to either to get involved, get active, become educated, and to do those sorts of things so that nobody's having to go through that journey by themselves.
Yeah. So some of those programs that can support someone that maybe got that new diagnosis, or maybe a caregiver that is, caring for someone with that diagnosis. So you're kind of mentioning that there's some support that the Alzheimer's Association can provide. Can you tell us a
Absolutely.
little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer some different we offer some free different education programs. This is something that you can get it in any that every chapter offers. And we do education programs on things like effective communication strategies for caregivers. Like I know that one of the sometimes when you're wanting to be a supportive person to somebody's living with dementia, a lot of times it's educating yourself on ways, because there are communication changes that happen as when somebody's going through dementia. And it's a lot of times it's up to us to try to figure out ways that we can become more supportive. So we have a program for that. We have a program that's responding to dementia related behaviors. That's a program that we have where people can learn how to help respond to some of the typical behaviors that you might see, like wandering, repetitive questions, anxiety, things like that. That's one of the programs that we actually recently have a new program that actually came out that I've been really talking to caregivers about, which is our Managing Money program, like a caregiver's guide to finances. Earlier when I first started early in the year, I noticed that one of the things, it was always one of the two questions that people have when I said, hey, what kind of programs would you like to see? It was always like programs about legal aspects of things, which we have as well, or programs that are related to managing finances, because these are some big decisions and some prep that people have to do. So we have a new program out about managing money, which kind of helps give people kind of a framework and a guide of where to think about when it gets started, about trying to take some steps to make some plans for later.
Great. I think Susan's ready to talk here.
Got to unmute myself. I had something in the way.
We still need
Chris,
those mugs that say you're on mute.
Yeah, exactly. Except for some dog related mug.
Yeah.
So I have a question about
Sure.
Alzheimer's itself and dementia, really, all of the dementia diseases. So what are some clues that it's not, what's the difference between just regular forgetting things and perhaps cognitive changes as you age or become ill, and dementia? What are some
Sure,
of the
absolutely,
hallmarks?
Yeah, one of our most popular programs that we have are the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's program that actually addresses specifically that. I get asked that pretty frequently. So some common warning signs is like typical age related, like forgetting, like, which is like the most common one that people talk about. Like, it's pretty normal to lose your keys. I always talk about that. Like, I lose mine daily. I almost probably didn't make it into the office today because I could not find where I lost my keys. For the life of me, lose my wallet at least every other day. Thankfully my wife helps me find it. My wife probably would still be walking around in a Walmart parking lot, like trying to find her car, like if she couldn't find it. I mean, sometimes these are typical like memory issues that we have, because I mean, there's tons of things that can go into that stress. Some people just don't have good short-term memory. But then you have some more like concerning things, like where you're forgetting things, like either not being able to eventually remember where you left something, or maybe you start forgetting things that are really important, like an anniversary date or or a birth date, or another particular really like important, or like your kid's birthday or something like that. That would be more of a common type of like age related forgetting that gets kind of hard. Another common one is forgetting like a particular name for something. So you'll start seeing that more frequently. People will be like, they'll start like renaming something, and they'll be like, instead of toothbrush, they'll say, can you hand me that tooth comb, that tooth comb thing. They'll start giving new names for things. That's another typical warning sign that people tend to see as well. And another one that I recommend for families to be watching out for too is definitely withdrawing. Withdrawing and staying inside and not getting out and doing some of the normal activities that you do. That's a warning sign that I always recommend for families to be watching out for, because a lot of times what happens is someone may be forgetting, someone may be having trouble doing that. And so they stop going out doing the things that they enjoy doing, either because, they forget, they can't remember, or they're embarrassed because of some of the memory concerns that they may have going on. So that's a warning sign that I recommend families to be watching out for.
What's the average age of dementia onset? And average is an average, so
Right. Right. So typically it's 65 and older. It's like every year, every 5 years after the age of 65, your risk factor starts showing up more. It can actually set in earlier than that. And there's younger onset Alzheimer's, so people can start showing signs in their 40s, but typically it's 65 and older or people who are at the highest risk. And I talk a lot about that with people all the time, where they'll actually talk to me about like their biggest fears because a family member had a history of having Alzheimer's dementia. And they'll be like, I hear that story a lot. They'll be like, my mom had it or my grandma had it, so I'm worried about it. And I talk to people that, family history is a risk factor for sure, but the greatest risk factor is actually just age. So that's always an important thing after 65 and older, that you're making sure that you're talking with your doctor and, and bringing up any of these concerns that you may be seeing, so that, so that maybe you can catch a diagnosis as early as possible.
And, we read things like, brain teasers and doing crossword puzzles and other puzzles and learning a new language and, all of those kind of brain exercises can help brain health. What's the real clinical data on that?
The real clinical data on that. So from what I've seen and from what we've talked about, I've seen some stuff on there that talks about that the more education someone seems to have, the less likely that they seem to have to developing some dementia, that they're at less risk. A lot of that has, I think one of the things that we saw definitely like during COVID. So we want to talk about, so during that, whenever people had a much harder time getting out, staying active, being cognitively challenged because of that, deaths from Alzheimer's rose by like 16%, during that. We started seeing people that were progressing a lot further in the disease because of that, because of the pandemic, doing stuff like, I always say, like, it's whenever you're doing something that's generally good for you, whether it's doing something that mentally challenges you, being social, being active, or just taking care of your body in general, those are probably some of the best things that you yourself can do to lower your chances. That's the most power that a person typically has to try to lower the risk, is just doing whatever's healthy activities for themselves.
I read this morning I came across my email about some disturbing trends of people with older adults with long COVID, and the dementia that's showing up there that wasn't expected, that's increased. So I would imagine that as we progress through the pandemic and we discover more and more about long COVID symptoms, that the Alzheimer's Association and other groups are going to be looking at that too, adding that to your pile of problems to solve.
Well, I think one of the things that we saw, like if you like, and again, I'm only speaking just kind of in generalities on this particularly, but like when you talk about like COVID and the people that were at higher risk, again, people generally with underlying heart conditions, we've seen more and more research that just comes out that just talks about what's good for your heart, it's good for your brain, and how those are connected. A lot of people don't know that. Like, I keep going to my dentist all the time because I'm always worried about heart issues, and he's like, Chris, you got to take care of your teeth because your teeth are actually have a direct connection to your heart. I did not know that, and now I don't lie to them anymore when I say how often I floss. I'm really doing it twice a day, because this is something that I'm concerned about. I did not know that, and so the more that we've seen how heart health is connected to brain health, I believe that 100%.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on the 10 signs program and some other presentations. Can you kind of give us a quick overview of some of the presentations that the Alzheimer's Association does offer, and if there's a group of interested individuals, how they can kind of quote unquote book that presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So as far as like, you know, like I said, we do programs for general audiences as well as caregivers, as well as those living with the disease. We have different programs designed for all of those. If somebody's ever interested in having a program come out to their community, I always highly encourage them to reach out to our helpline. You know, it's 1-800-272-3900. It's one of the best ways to do that because they'll connect you to the local chapter to have one of our educators come out, or get connected to you to how to get connected to one of our programs. That's absolutely a great idea. A lot of chapters, not only that, so say like if you're just a person that's concerned about wanting to watch a program, but maybe you can, maybe you're in a very rural community, you know, and so where access to some of these resources may be limited. A lot of our education programs that we have are actually going on our websites. And this is both the Kentucky chapter that I'm from, the greater Indiana chapter as well, where we're getting a lot of these programs up on our websites where people can watch them now at home at your own convenience. Because if you're ever a caregiver, you know that most time that you're getting a break or an opportunity may not be 9 to 5, it may not be Tuesday the 8th at, you know, noon at your local library. It may not be that. So we have the options of people being able to watch some of these programs online at their own convenience. And one of the cool things too about it too that we have is we love, I mean, there's one thing I wish I was taught when I talk to people about resources in the area is there are so many amazing community partners. There are so many amazing people that like Ship, that really want to help educate people on what we do and offer help. And a lot of times we do joint programs. So on our websites, a lot of our programs are also combined with other community partners giving information. Like I can speak to one for the Greater Kentucky chapter. You know, we just did one where we have one where it's like healthy, like I was talking about healthy living and good tips you can do. And at the same time, there's a person that was talking about caregiving through the holidays, like things you can do during the holidays for your loved one living with dementia. I did another one where it was that, but also a healthy cooking demonstration as well. Those are very common on a lot of our websites too, where you'll learn how to need to take care of your heart, your brain health. Now here's some healthy recipes to help you do that. And that's a great opportunity for people that might not be able to get out to the into the community to see the program.
Thank you,
That's
Chris. That's
great.
great. Oh, sorry, Melanie.
You're good. I think you're probably getting ready to tackle the same thing I was going to.
Yep. We have a question in our chat box from Wendy, our great friend Wendy that joins us every week. She is up in my area, Northern Indiana, and she comments in that this is a perfect topic for her. I know she's going through dealing with the Alzheimer's diagnosis for a family member. And her question is she'd like some suggestions on how to find a neurologist. She says, we are to the point where we would like to talk to another neurologist. And again, she lives up in the Northwest region of Indiana.
So one of the, yeah, I can absolutely talk about that. So one thing you can always do is, a lot of people don't know this, you can usually ask your doctor for another recommendation, like to see is there somebody else in the area that might be able to do that. Because a lot of time, they're really probably not gonna be like nobody. They're probably gonna at least name somebody else for you. I think that's a really good opportunity. Another thing you can do too, you can absolutely call our you can call our helpline. Absolutely, that's another great resource too if you're trying to find another neurologist as well. I know that, depending upon where you're at, there's some different universities that have that, like here in the Greater Kentucky chapter. A lot of people go to UK Sanders Brown and Aging. Some people go to Norton. Some people go to IU Medical Health up there near Bloomington. Those are some other options that people have as far as getting like another like a second opinion on something.
Perfect, thank you. And
Okay.
Wendy, I'm going to email you later because I've got some local contacts that I'm aware of that might be helpful for you too. So look for that email.
Absolutely. Yes. So we had a comment. So we'll go ahead and post that that helpline that you can contact. And so when someone calls that helpline, that's kind of an all in one resource.
Yep.
Is that kind of what I'm understanding? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. They can call it. It's 24/7, 365 days a year. That's
Oh,
it's
perfect.
manned by master level clinicians that can answer questions about the disease, resources in the community, some caregiving tips, as well as just listening if you're having a bad day. Like that's something
Yeah.
too that people just have a heart like don't realize about our helpline, as well as they can absolutely call our helpline for that. One of the, again, like I said before, caregiving, it's not you may not, it's not a 9 to 5 thing. You may have questions at 8 p.m. or need help at 8 p.m. Christmas Eve, and you need somebody to answer the phone.
Yeah.
That's what our helpline is for, is somebody can call the association and can get help. So it's at your convenience, not at our convenience. And that's a huge resource that I highly recommend for people too. And if they're wanting to get more involved, even too, like with the local chapter too, that's something that they can talk about whenever that they call in, and they can make sure that the local chapter will absolutely follow up with that person too.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mhm.
And then we mentioned the website earlier too, about how there's some of those, recorded classes or
Yep.
virtual classes or things which we're big fans of. We understand that you kind of prevent those and limit those barriers to people accessing you by doing that virtual program or recorded program. So we'll make sure that we get that website so that everyone knows that that's going to be available as well. So that'll be in our comments on this video so that you guys can see that. So absolutely.
How do people learn about the longest day fundraiser in their area, Chris?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you want to get involved in the longest day, you can go over to www.alz.org/TLD to get involved with the longest day. And that's one of the best ways that you can get connected if you're interested in starting a fundraiser for yourself. Anybody who signs up gets stuff. They get a T-shirt, they get a banner, they can get a fundraising guide, and they can also look for other teams in the area to figure out what's going on as well, like in their area, like, because it's so different across the board. Like I know here in Evansville, our local BJ's restaurant is doing a drink special where so many like drinks they get ordered, they're making a donation for it. Farming a facility doing a snow cone event. I know Eastern Kentucky's they're putting together a comedy show. I know somebody else is doing a music show. Like there's so many different things that are going all across the nation during not only the longest day like this month, but just year round. That's something about TLD that a lot of people know. It's the year-round fundraiser. So this is definitely the month that it's most active and people are wanting to do stuff, but there's opportunities to get involved with the longest day throughout the year.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. This is wonderful information. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing kind of how to get involved and how the Alzheimer's Association can be involved in someone's life that needs them. So we really appreciate you sharing that. I kind of monitored our chat here throughout. I don't see any more questions. Ladies, do you guys have any more things to add? And Chris, did you have anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if I always tell people, never be afraid to reach out for help. There are a lot of amazing community partners and people, not just the Alzheimer's Association, but like generally in local communities that have resources for people. They're there in the community for people. And so, if you need help in any way, please reach out, because there is help that is out there. So that's definitely what I want to leave people with.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And I know the Alzheimer's Association is close to my heart too. And I love to be involved. And I know I always think about the walk to end Alzheimer's. So it's always nice to know about the longest day as well. And just kind of about how the Alzheimer's Association is prevalent in probably your local community. There's probably a group that you can contact. There's probably a program that you can attend, whether it be in person or virtual. Get involved. And I know it can be very simple to do a fundraiser. I know one of the ones I did was just I had a yard sale and I donated some of the proceeds of our yard sale to the Alzheimer's Association. And I had a little money jar out where people could donate. And I think I made more money in that money jar than I did in my yard sale. So it was great, or maybe I don't have good stuff. I don't know. I don't know which way it went, but it was an easy fundraiser to put together. And there's all kinds of examples of that. I'm sure that you have too, where people can get involved in.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things about Alzheimer's is it often makes people like feel a sense of powerlessness, like they're losing power. And what stuff like the Longest Day does is it gives people an opportunity to do something, to feel like they're doing something to help find a cure for dementia. And so that's why stuff like the Longest Day and our walks are so important, is because of stuff like that. And it really does help people give a sense that they're doing something.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again for your time. And Megan has put a couple numbers, the helpline number on there for you guys to see, and also the website. And I'll add the Longest Day website as well, so that you guys can have that direct link. And if you have any questions, we always check these videos after they go live as well. So please feel free to comment and let us know that you watched, or let us know that you have any questions. And a huge thank you again to Chris for coming on today. We really appreciate your time and your company. It's been a lovely presentation. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll add my thanks to that. Also, Chris, we appreciate your time and your information today. So let's just take a quick peek at what is coming up on the Indiana SHIP Facebook Lives for this month. Next month, we're going to have a presentation all in Spanish, and it is about the 5 things to look for, the 5 mistakes you might make with Medicare. So if you're a Spanish speaker or you know somebody who is, send them the information so they can tune in. And then that's followed by the recognition that June, along with many other things that are happening in June, is Cataract Awareness Month. So Megan is going to take us through how Medicare covers cataracts, cataract treatment, and some related kinds of services. Then, in recognition that June is also Pride Month, we're going to have a special guest from Indy Pride to talk to us about how Pride came to be and what it means, and how folks can get involved. So we're excited for this month, and hope you all can tune in.
Absolutely. Thank you, Susan. And thank you again to Chris and Megan for being here. And thank you to all of our viewers. Happy Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you.